Hi everyone, it's Riley. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down every salary I've received since starting my career in accounting 5 years ago. I want to start out by giving this little disclaimer. This is not me trying to brag about how much money I've made. I know a lot of people are just starting out their careers or they may be looking for a career change. So I just wanted to give a little frame of reference. You'll hear me talk about it in this video, but there have been times when I've made very little money and when I've made a lot more money. So with that being said, again, I'm not trying to brag. I just want this video to be informative. And I feel like a lot of people don't like to discuss salaries. It can be a little bit of a taboo, uncomfortable subject, but that's why I'm here. So hopefully I can give you some sort of an idea as to what you can expect when you're first starting off your accounting career. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. At my very first job, I made $52,000 a year. My job was an audit associate for a public accounting firm. Keep in mind, this was in 2019. That's when I graduated college 5 years ago. And this was pre-COVID, before crazy inflation. I also worked for a smaller regional firm that only had offices located in central Pennsylvania. So this may not seem like a ton of money. I don't know if that's more or less than what you would expect, but 5 years ago, I was very excited about this. After about 6 months of working there, they did a company-wide wage increase. So I went from making $52,000 a year to making $57,000 a year by the end of my first year working as an audit associate for a public accounting firm. After a little over a year, I decided that I didn't want to work in public accounting anymore. My second job was as a staff accountant, and I accepted a job offer of $55,000 a year. So yes, I actually took a pay decrease of $2,000 a year. However, I really wanted out of public accounting, and the new job as a staff accountant was for a very large, very well-known retail company. They have stores all over the world. I'm sure all of you would know them. I don't want to say the name of the company or the names of the companies that I've worked for, but if I said the name, I'm sure you would all know this retailer. But like I said, it was a wonderful opportunity, so I accepted the $55,000 a year job offer. After almost 2 years of working there, I worked in the same position the whole time. I was a staff accountant, specifically in the fixed assets department. So I worked there for a little over 2 years, and by the end of those 2 years, I was making $56,375 a year. So if you do the math there, my salary went up 2.5% over the 2 years I spent at that company. This was the point where I finally decided to leave. My pay at this company, though it was a wonderful opportunity, it just was not enough, and it didn't even come close to adjusting for inflation. Also, I wouldn't say it was exactly an easy job, and my hours were late. I often worked late, especially during month end, and I also had 3 years of experience at this point. So I personally felt like I deserved to be paid a lot more than what I was making, given all the effort that I put in, the long hours, and the experience that I had. So I felt like it was time for me to move on. I honestly don't remember what the exact title was of my next job. I think it was just an accountant or an accountant one. We had a very small accounting department, so I don't know exactly what my title was. Like I said, I just really can't remember right now. I think it was an accountant one though. I believe that's what my title was. But this was the job I got when I was moving from Pennsylvania to Florida. At this point, it was 2022. My new job offer was for $65,000 a year plus a 10% bonus. So again, if you do the math, that would have been $71,500 a year. Obviously, this was a huge jump from my prior job, so again, I was very excited about this. The job was for a holding company, so essentially this company oversaw about 50 smaller companies, and they were in the health and safety sectors. So as an example, this was the example that they gave me when I was interviewing. The sensors that are on the elevator doors so that the elevator doors don't close on you when you're walking in and out, there was one of the companies actually made those sensors. So that's an example of these smaller companies that the main holding company that I worked for oversaw the financials for. So the main holding company that I worked for had a very small accounting department, like I just said, and it was only the CFO and then the controller and then me. So the three of us ran the accounting department. My position there was to manage the accounts payables process, so I was fully in charge of accounts payable. This included keeping track of invoices, payments, and expenses, and there was also a lot of intercompany accounting, as you can imagine, between these 50 smaller companies and the main company. So between each other and the main holding company, there was a lot of intercompany accounting that needed to be done, which I also assisted with. After working at that company for a little less than a year, I went through a really rough period where I thought that accounting was no longer for me. I felt physically and mentally drained, and I actually ended up switching careers for a little bit. I ended up working for another retail company that was based out of Florida, and I still worked in their corporate office, but I worked in merchandising rather than accounting. After several months, I surprisingly found myself really missing accounting. I missed knowing what my daily tasks were gonna be, and I just missed the work in general. I did some research and I started asking around. I didn't want to leave this company after only having been there for a few months. So I asked, and within the company, they were hiring for a staff accountant role, and I thought it was perfect because it was a staff accountant role, it was in fixed assets, which I already had prior experience in, so I thought it was gonna work out perfectly. So this brings me to my fourth salary. My fourth salary working in accounting was $44,000 a year. Yes, you heard that correctly, $44,000 a year. Now, it was a staff accountant role. However, this was $11,000 less than what I was making in a very similar role. Again, it was another retail company. It was still in the fixed assets department. And this was $11,000 less than what I was making after I had only had 1 year of experience. And now I was at the point where I had three and a half years of experience. I was also living in Sarasota at this time. I still am. And it's not a cheap place to live, so there was really no adjustment for the cost of living, especially with the influx of people that had moved to Sarasota. It really made everything so much more expensive. And at this point, I really felt like a failure, and I almost felt embarrassed and just really stupid for giving up that higher paying job just for me to end up back in accounting, back to where I was less than a year having made the decision to leave. And now I was making significantly less money. So I was just really down and really upset with myself at this point. Truthfully, it ended up being a tough year financially. I stuck it out until the end of the year, and I knew I was being severely underpaid for all of the work that I was doing, for all of the experience that I had. And although I was able to stick it out for the end of the year, I only stayed with that company for 1 year in total. And on that note, that brings me to my current role. My current role is for an assistant controller. I work for a restoration company here in Venice, Florida. I don't want to say exactly how much I'm making now, just because it is the internet and putting it out there, you just never know who's gonna see it. And so I don't wanna give specifics about a company where I'm currently employed at, but I will say this, I am now making significantly more money than I have ever made at any of these prior jobs that I've mentioned. I just wanna repeat myself that this is me not trying to brag, but it really does feel so good to know that you're getting paid what you deserve to get paid. And it just makes the job so much more enjoyable. It makes me more motivated to show up and do my best on a daily basis. And this is probably the first time in my career where I feel really satisfied, really grateful, and I'm really confident that I'm getting paid what I deserve to get paid. And I hope that this video can not only be informative, but I hope it can be motivational. Jobs in accounting can vary a lot in terms of salary, There is a very wide range, and I've noticed this just in me applying to jobs, and the jobs that I've had, as you can tell, they have been extremely widespread. So if you're at a place now where you're already making good money and you're very happy, you have a great work-life balance, then that's great. That's awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm very happy for you. But if you're at a place now in your career where you feel like you deserve to be paid more, you feel undervalued, you're surprised that you can't find a higher paying job, I just want you to know that I've been there. And as long as you enjoy accounting and you want to stick with it, keep trying. I went from my lowest paying job by far to my highest paying job by far. Unfortunately, I do believe that there are a lot of jobs that underpay accounting employees, but I can also say from experience, there are so many jobs that will pay you what you may have expected to get paid or what you feel you deserve to get paid. So just know your worth and don't accept less. Don't settle on a job, and you have to weigh the pros and cons, and you have to decide what is best for yourself and what things are important to you. And don't compare yourself to other people. I know that's really difficult, but it took me 5 years to finally get to a point where I feel like I've made it. This is me feeling like I'm successful and I've made it. And I'm using air quotes because I feel like success is defined differently by everyone. And for me, being successful is having a salary that I feel like I am deserving of, and that my work is valued and I'm valued as an employee, and my salary is equal to the work that I put into the job. And not only the work, but also the hours. Accountants can work long hours, and a lot of them do work longer hours. So between that and having a healthy work-life balance, that to me is how I define success. So I'm very, very grateful, and just know that if you're not quite there yet, keep trying. That's the point of this video. You can tell that I've jumped around a lot throughout my career, and I know that may be frowned upon by some people, but for me it worked out. And like I said, it took me 5 years. So don't give up, keep going, and I promise you, you will get to where you want to be. Overall, I hope you found this video somewhat helpful and encouraging. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, please, please, please leave a comment. Let me know if you found this video helpful. Let me know if you have any additional questions, and please let me know what other kinds of videos you would like to see. I appreciate you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.